All right, hey everybody, TG here. Let's see, we got everything up and running. Change the camera a little bit there. All right, so welcome, good morning. To get these things kind of moved up out of the way. And yeah, see, March 8th. Hopefully everybody's having a good time out there. And we do have some news going on out there, so we'll get into that in just a second. But remember, if anybody's interested, the way that I show the markets and all that kind of stuff, we have a 30-day trial for $7, and then also something I've been wanting to let people know about is that I did a webinar just the other week on the 1st, and it's, we're trying to figure out, is this market bullish or bearish? Yeah, we're going sideways, but, generally speaking, what's the next move? And, this has been one of the more hotly debated market conditions that we've come across. And so I put it out there, did about an hour. There was about 15 minutes of questions at the end, but did about an hour presentation, kind of just showing you guys what I see as far as internals and underneath the surface and historical stats and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, go over to Simpler Trading's YouTube page, and you'll find it here, the 2023 bull bear market. Otherwise, we'll make some posts about it. All right, so enough of that. And then we get into the market itself. So Jerome Powell's is testifying today. He was testifying yesterday. That's why we did see some moves down yesterday. But really, people are going to probably blame it on things that he said, which he said that they are looking, interest rates going to be higher than people expected and longer than people expected. We kind of know all that. And then the only other thing is that the market's prediction of where the next interest rate hikes are now leaning more towards 50 basis points instead of 25 basis points. So that's the other thing that kind of changed this week. But from the technical standpoint, the Moxie subscribers and we've been talking about this. This was a really clean setup on the hourly chart. We've been expecting this. So this pullback from right around here, I had to take Monday off, but that morning I said, hey, despite price being, up and actually running a little bit, I said the internals aren't really matching that. We can see that here. This was Monday. You can see that it really wasn't matching the move that was happening. And then once it burned off, it started to move down like that. You can see the internals there. And even just from the charts themselves, this is a typical pattern that we have in through here. And I said we should be expecting price to pull back to at least the hourly 50. And that is exactly what happened as price then broke down and through the 15-minute 50. Now, some of you out there might be day traders, so let me get this up here. And I want to show you what the top looked like on Monday. Now, we already know that there were basically 2.5 days of the market just going straight up like that. And as I said, on Monday, I gave a warning out there saying, this is getting a little bit up there. I'd be careful on the long side. We should be expecting a pullback. And that, as I said, that's exactly what happened. Now, if we look, well, this is a inverse alpha shoe. There's the leg, there's the heel, there's the arch of the foot, there's the ball of the foot, and then price broke down. We could also see we had negative divergence right there on the 5-minute. And then in the 2-minute, we had two forms of inverse trampoline moves. So remember, price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below 0. And you could see that the Moxie indicator was below 0 both those times. So that is what helped get price down. And then at least on the 2-minute, you could see price followed the 2-minute 50 all the way down, even into even into yesterday. You can see that yesterday opened up, was very, very quiet, but it just couldn't go anywhere. It could not get past even the 2-minute 50, and then Jerome Powell spoke and all that news came out and boom, just dropped. So, a fairly big trending day yesterday. The internals were also pretty negative. And where did price go? Basically right to the hourly 50. So now we're here trying to just figure out, okay, is this pullback going to be into weakness or into strength? And that's what we're waiting for. We just don't quite know yet. I don't know yet if this is going to be, let's call it like that, positive divergence. There are no signs yet. And at least on the 15-minute time frame, nothing yet. Price is still underneath the 15-minute 50. The Moxie indicators are still down. So I don't have anything that we can say that's bullish yet. And so, yes, price could continue to move down from here, but we just don't know. On the daily chart, this is doing another elf shoe, but it's only a potential so far. So you can see leg, heel, arch of the foot, and we're working on the ball of the foot. That's the question. We don't know what the ball of the foot is going to do. We don't know what this pullback to the previous low is going to do. We have to simply watch and wait. If price comes down here and it kind of meanders and continues falling down, then that's going to be a pullback into weakness. But if this comes down here, somehow holds in through here and then moves up, that's going to be a pullback into strength. And I've been talking about this for a few days now, but if you look, we had here on the daily chart, for example, this was a pullback into support. And you can see that the Moxie indicator was above 0 and that worked out. This, on the other hand, was a pullback into weakness, and despite a pretty big bounce, it eventually got sold back into. So, that's kind of what we're looking for. However, on the other side of it, we're really just going sideways. We have been going sideways for a very, very long time. Like, we were really just in a range. I mean, you can look at this line, look at this. We have been going sideways for that long. So it's not the most exciting market right now. It's just a lot of sideways, it's a lot of chop. We do notice that we get pretty big moves and then it just fails, and we'll get a little move and then it just kind of fails. And it's like you kind of got to be right on it when these moves happen, and then they just kind of go poof a little bit. So there are a lot of stocks that are going up. The internals are looking fairly good. We did see some divergences. So like the on this run right in through here, even though the market continued to move up, internally fewer and fewer stocks were participating. So that was another something that we kind of saw. That is how we were able to call that pullback, in addition to the inverse trampoline move set up on the hourly chart. So that worked out nicely. And then same thing here, I was calling out this kind of double bottom and this trampoline move here on the daily chart, and that worked out. So been getting some pretty good calls on the market lately, and it's just a matter of, are the names holding up, and are they going with the market, or are they just kind of doing their own thing? So we have that. Again, Jerome Powell speaking this morning. We have jolts this morning. Didn't seem to really do much of a reaction. Non-farm payroll coming up on Friday, so that might be a thing. And then the only other thing is, if we look at, say, the put-call ratio, this has been working fairly well. This was another reason why I was saying right here the put-call ratio was low, the market was high. So that was another thing that was kind of indicating that the market was likely to pull back. Very similar to, and I know my arrows are kind of off a little bit, but you can see here at the turn of the year, the put-call ratio was super high, so that kind of called a low. And we're getting kind of up there again. We're getting up to an area where the put-call ratio is high, which should call a low in the market. Okay, so that's generally what I'm looking for. That's why I'm trying to keep an open mind to see if this is a pullback into support. And just so far things haven't exactly fallen apart. The Moxie indicator, you can see, is toying with going green today. So I can't say much about it today until this really becomes more robust. And I am wondering, we were looking to see if this pullback here that we're experiencing yesterday, is into support. So that's kind of the general rundown of what we're seeing in through here. Just pushed all the buttons, didn't I? Okay, let me get this back. And there you go. Okay, oh, there we go. Now we're back. There is one button on my, maybe it's convenient, but there's one button on my keyboard that says desktop, and if I push it, it just takes everything right back down to the desktop, which, as I said, could be great, but it's right next to the escape button, which is what I have to use to get out of my drawing tool. So I kind of hit that somewhat frequently. So some of the other things, as far as a macro situation, and anybody in the Moxie group or anybody out there on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, anybody who can respond, let me know what you guys are looking at today. The week's been a little bit slow. We've been expecting that pullback. We got the pullback, and now we're really just kind of going sideways. We're right back to where we were last week. So there's just kind of not too much going on. As far as the dollar goes, generally speaking, I have been looking for the dollar to pull back around here on the daily 200. Now, this is because of the typical Moxie rules that I have. However, I'm trying to wrap technical analysis and the Moxie rules around a thing, the dollar, that has a lot of macro stuff involved, has a lot of the economics, has politics, it has just big things involved, which may or may not really care about technical analysis. Just I was making a joke yesterday. It kind of reminds me of when Trump was in office, and they're like, "My tweets are no match, or your technical analysis is no match for my tweets." So just kind of keep that in mind, that we might have something similar with Jerome Powell and his comments about interest rates and inflation and all that other stuff, and it's going to affect the dollar, probably more than the technical analysis, but. So if I were to say anything, I'm seeing if this wants to come back down. It's not doing it yet. That's fine. I'm not working with anything like GDX or gold or anything. I'm not in any of those yet. But I'm generally expecting that this would be resistance if this is going to work out through my technical analysis. And if that did, then GDX would move up. I'll show you that in a second. And then if we look at TNX, this is another thing that we need. The market doesn't like. The market is very inversely correlated to the TNX. So if the TNX is going up, the market does not like this. So the market gets into some trouble. Now, I'm seeing some negative divergence, and we do have a Moxie price trigger, and you can see that price was getting up here. The interest rates were getting up here. Yeah, excuse me. And so it could be saying that it might be trying to pull back. But I'm going to be fairly cautious and reluctant to really call that, because we did see something similar right in through here, and yet it went a little bit higher. So, right there and right there. So I'm not going to be, banging the table on that one too much. If it works out, great. The Moxie indicator called it. If it doesn't work out, then you know what? It's just there are bigger forces at play than what my indicator or the charts say. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. And then if we look at GDX, GDX is going to be generally inversely related to the dollar. So we have been watching this. There are, again, multiple Moxie rules and setups in here. And, this looks like right here, it's putting in a double bottom. Again, we have been expecting that in the same way that we've been expecting the SPY to pull back. It has been doing exactly like that hourly chart is doing the exact same thing that the SPY is doing. So we're looking at this, trying to figure out if, this pullback, which, as I said, we expected. First move, second move, elf shoe right there on the daily chart, all those kind of things, we were expecting this pullback. Now we have to wait and see if the pullback is into support. Mark, thanks. So kind. So double bottom in here, and we could be getting positive divergence here on the hourly chart. This is why I'm looking at it. We just have to wait for it to confirm or really prove that it wants to go up and do this kind of thing. Otherwise, it just won't do anything. Otherwise, it'll just continue to move down or chop or whatever. So, eyes on it. Nothing to do yet. You just got to wait for these things to kind of pan out like that. All right, let's see. Zabak. It's funny because I have my brother's name is Zach, so that's what I saw. MULN. Well, I don't see much here. What are you going for? Yeah, I can't say that I see much. I see that there's a little bit of hourly positive divergence coming here, but there's no trigger. You can see that the Moxie indicator is still below zero, and price is still basically getting pushed down by the underside of a downtrending hourly 50. You kind of see this did the same thing here and did the same thing here. It wasn't until the Moxie indicator got over zero, and it wasn't until price got over the 50 that this thing actually did something. So kind of like what we're doing with GDX, you can watch it and see if something sets up, but right now there's just nothing. There are no clues. There's nothing here. You need to wait until, at least for what I do, I would wait until price can get over the hourly 50, and you got to wait until the Moxie indicator gets over zero. Those are the rules. But yeah, don't see much. It's just kind of bumping along the lows. I mean, if you look at, well, let's see here. If you look at the higher time frame here, I know I've been watching this one. I am aware of it. There's a ton of volume coming in here, but it's just not doing anything. I don't know what the deal is with all that volume. It's trying to kind of put in a low here, but can't do anything. So keep waiting, keep watching, and see if there's something later that will happen with it. So yeah, SOXX again. Been watching this one. It is up a bit today. I have definitely not been bearish on the semis. I did say that we should get a pullback from about here. And then we got a little bit of a pullback, and now it looks like it's been trying to put in a double bottom. There's still a gap between price and the daily 50, which could be fine. You know, maybe that's okay with that. Maybe it'll keep going higher. I do think LRCX is putting a base. You know, AMD is looking decent. NVIDIA. I mean, basically the semis are looking okay. And this might kind of go back to my concept. So, Joe, man, you remember what I was talking about with the idea about AI and all the things surrounding AI. So if AI is really going to be a big thing, then the semiconductor space could kind of see a resurgence as they need to be producing a lot of things for the growth of AI. So semis could be an area of strength. Now, I'd like to say we have some positive divergence here on the hourly chart. Maybe it's close enough. It's not quite over zero yet, but you do have the 8 or the 21. It's trying to hold the hourly 50. I mean, it's looking pretty promising. So I wouldn't be bearish, and I just can't entirely confirm if this is the right entry yet. But it doesn't look bad, and if you were to give it a shot, I would say that seems okay, and hopefully it continues to work out. Let's see, MDB. Okay, monthly 8. So let's come over here to the monthly chart. Okay, it's been under the, okay, so you use monthly 8, I use the monthly 10, so close enough. Starting to break with weekly squeeze, daily moxie good, and holding the daily 50. Next is break to the daily 200. Yeah, remember we tried trading this a little bit. We made a few bucks off of it, and then it just kind of went sideways. I do generally like what's happening here. It does seem like it's trying to recover, but leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, and this trying to make its elf toe. It is getting past the weekly 30. The weekly 8 is over the 21, so that looks good. If we come over here, let's see, daily, hourly. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait till after earnings. I just don't want to be holding this thing through earnings. However, Austin, I know Okta and there's another one, CRM. They went up on earnings. So, maybe kind of maybe in the same sector a little bit. But yeah, you could basically say 50, 200, 50 maneuver, Moxie indicator above zero. It's been, this is doing well. But I personally have to wait till after earnings. I don't want to risk that. And the other challenging thing that I've been seeing is that in this market, if there is a gap between price and the hourly 50, it'll pull back to it. And there's a gap, and maybe it's going to pull back to it. Again, earnings, so anything can happen over earnings, and it's going to be hard to really say. But yes, generally speaking, this is looking good, and it bounced off the daily 50, and cool. All right, H row. What is this? Oh, health. Okay. Volume's a little low. So Mark, just kind of be aware of that. It's a little bit on the lower side, so it can be a little bit challenging to be in a name like that. The only other thing I'm kind of seeing as just a heads up is that you are up here at the monthly third ATR. They don't tend to really like to stay up and outside of that monthly third ATR for too long, and you're also up here at the weekly third ATR. So it's a challenging place on a higher time frame to want to get long. And then as maybe an example of that, this technically is in an inverse trampoline move setup right now. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero. And I'm also seeing that this and this are kind of looking similar to where there was a gap between price and the daily 50 and a gap between price and the daily 50, and you might need to be careful about a pullback. So it has a tendency, it seems, to pull back right there, and only once did it actually kind of shoot up instead of pulling back. So it seems a little bit challenging. So you're going to have to kind of figure out your own way to get in there. I guess I could say that if it's going to work, I'd really like to see it stay above the hourly 50 like this. If it's going to stay above the hourly 50, then cool. If it can't, okay, then you're probably going to have to watch out. Let's see, Crocs. Kind of the same deal. Very similar. Very similar. It's already had a pretty big move. It's coming into its previous high, so you might be getting into kind of like double top territory. And it's had a really big move already. Again, third ATR situation. It has backed off a little bit on that third ATR, but it just kind of goes to show why it's challenging to buy stuff at the third ATR because they tend to at least back off a little bit from there. And then if we look at this, the only other thing I'm seeing is, yeah, this is right here, it's a inverse trampoline move. So price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below 0. I see what you're probably looking at here is price flagging into the daily 50. If that flag into the daily 50 is going to work and it's going to go up, you're going to need to see price continue to stay over the hourly 50, and you're going to need to see the Moxie indicator stay above 0. So right now, if the Moxie indicator persists below 0 and price starts to fall below the 50, then I would watch out and see if make sure that the daily 50 doesn't fail, because it's going to start on the hourly chart if that daily 50 is going to fail. Yeah, Mark, if you're having troubles catching moves, this is a tough market. It's unless you can really get into one of those veins where the market is just really moving, um, it's hard to buy breakouts aren't really happening. You have to kind of find these dips, and then just you have to find the exact start of the move, and it really has to be in line and in sync with the market because otherwise they just kind of peter out. So yeah, it's been a tough market. All right, Parvez in X. Well, let's see. Again with the low volume, you got to be really careful with this. It's on its average volume is $128,000 or shares. That is not much. That is not a lot. Like, what's 128,000 times $24? There's a good chance that in the Moxie room could buy all the shares of this thing. Okay, so that's a challenging thing. It's a risky thing because it can get moved around by not a lot of money. And it's been a little bit, just kind of hasn't really been going very much. And there was an inverse trampoline move. So price over the 50, the Moxie indicator below 0. So that was an inverse trampoline move. Yes, in through here, there was a nice flag. The Moxie indicator fired, and then it moved up. But, if you look at this, where is it? It's right at its previous high. So there might be some resistance there. If this is going to work out, it seems to me it's probably going to have to kind of catch its breath and build some strength in order to break up and out. And it's going to have to figure out how it can break out on its own like that. Let's see if we can look at here. Yeah, you're going to have to wait for the next setup. So, Mark, since I was talking to you about some inverse trampoline moves, do you see here on the hourly chart for NX? That's an inverse trampoline move. Same thing here. There's an inverse trampoline move. So this is why I caution against the Crocs and maybe the H row that I saw, because these inverse trampoline moves don't necessarily mean short it, but it can mean this is not the best place to go long right now. So Parvez, if you're going to trade NX, you're going to have to wait for the next setup, the next something, whatever this is going to set up towards. And it's just be careful with that low volume. Oh, and earnings is coming up too, so careful about that one too. Nasir. So yeah, down on the day trading stuff. I don't think I really saw much. For the SPY today. Mostly, talking about today. This yesterday was a pretty big down day. Okay, yesterday had the internals were fairly strong to the downside. It had started to pull away from the 15-minute 50 right there, and landed right on the hourly 30 ATR and basically the hourly 50. It's below the hourly 50, but basically got down to it. And the other thing you can see here on the daily chart is that price, is sitting right on that trend line. So that worked out. You can see right there sitting on the trend line, and it's sitting on the daily 50. So I kind of had a feeling that today was going to be not a negative day. That was where I was at, because that was a stiff pullback. Okay, walked its way down all day, and I just kind of thought today will at least be a resting day. And now from a resting day, if this is going to continue to go positive, then we have to continue to see this thing work itself out. And again, so far, this is looking like a great elf shoe. We just kind of have to wait to see if that actually confirms. But there were a lot of reasons that I was willing to have price pull back into this area and then really give it a shot and see if it's going to work. You guys remember, I think I said something around here. I said, I'm hopeful that this pullback is going to be into strength. Now, I'm not going to fool myself and think like, oh, it's absolutely going to. But I said, I have reason to believe that it's probably going to find some strength, and then we have to confirm it. But sitting on the trend line, sitting on the daily 50, sitting on the 30 ATR, pretty far gap between price and the 15-minute 50. Today was at least going to be kind of a sideways day. So with that kind of bigger context in mind, because even if you're a day trader, you need to have context. And that was that context. And then we opened up today, and what I was noticing is that, even this dip kind of got bought up. Even this dip kind of got bought up. And I was like, ooh, okay, price doesn't really want to go down today. It may not really like go up, but it's behaving like it doesn't want to go down. And you could see also here the 5-minute positive divergence worked out. So that happened. Heck, even into the end of yesterday. Look at this, price down, Moxie indicator up. That was a trampoline move right there on the 2-minute. So again, not a huge move, but just little things to notice. And now price is trying to get over the 5-minute 50. But again, if we flip back to the bigger time frames, like today's a sideways day, but we are still not out of the woods. We have price potentially running into the underside of a downtrending 15-minute 50. So we're kind of just nowhere. We don't have a lot that we can work off of right now. Yes, it pulled back. Yes, it pulled into temporary support. I think it's going to be a sideways day, but we don't know where it's going to go quite yet from there. It still has not confirmed. BSX. I am much better. Way more volume. But it's kind of a choppy stock. So I'll just kind of put that out there. Doesn't seem like the most exciting stock, so just be careful. It's kind of just gone nowhere for a couple years. And so I think, is this going to be the year that it really breaks up and out? I don't know. It's really hasn't done much. So, just be aware of that. And, I don't know. It's just not doing much. Just not doing much. If it can continue to hold the daily 50, great. Otherwise, if it falls off the daily 50, I would be careful about that. So I guess I just don't have too much to say about that. WBA. Yeah, I don't see anything here. There's nothing here. You can see WBA continues to get rejected by the underside of a downtrending daily 50, the Moxie indicator below 0, and could not get past the hourly 50, and again, the Moxie indicator below 0. In fact, GM Media, if you notice, that was an inverse trampoline move. So that was actually either a don't go long or that was a fresh short. So that was a bounce in a downtrend. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below 0. So that was an inverse trampoline move. And Austin, yeah, Riot does look interesting, but I decided to take it off today. Hopefully that doesn't make a fool of me. It's really just kind of going sideways, and the 15-minute was throwing me off a little bit, and I just didn't want to deal with anything like this. And the market's kind of still been blah, and I look around and other names like Hut, I'm seeing divergences, but they haven't quite turned yet. So I'm ready to jump right back into Riot if it starts to prove itself, but I kind of wanted to wait. It just was going sideways, and these names aren't really picking up yet. And so I thought, maybe I need to be a little bit careful with Riot because one name like Riot is not going to be able to lift if the rest of the names like Hive and Mara and Hut, if they don't go. So I thought, I might be picking the strongest one, but the group isn't quite ready yet. So I decided just to remove it until we see something a little bit different there. So, all right, guys, I'm going to be heading out. Remember to check out the webinar that I put out there. Just want to make sure everybody kind of sees where I'm coming from and sees all the stuff that I've been kind of talking about with the market. Again, this is not a sales pitch. It's got a lot of education, a lot of information here, and just kind of see the things that I see. We still need to be cautious with the market. As you can see, we're doing a lot of sideways chop, and we don't really have a strong trend. But kind of like where the year might go, this is where I kind of talk in here a lot. So be sure to look up the 2023 bull bear market update through Simpler Trading. You can also probably find it on my page, profitpilot.com, and in my Twitter page. So it's definitely out there. Just kind of search for this thing, and you'll see it. All right, everyone. Thanks again.